a noise practice to me is just so opposite from dance music. You know, dance music is like there's a longing to connect in there. There's a longing to like connect to another person, to reach them, to like inspire a physical reaction. It's not unlike stand-up comedy.
Hello and welcome to White Centipede Noise Podcast, where we give language to noise through long-form video interviews with those involved in the underground. I'm Oscar Brummel, and today my guest is Joel Shanahan of the melancholic dance music projects Golden Donna and AUSCULTATION, but perhaps best known in noise circles as a fanatic listener, collector, and trader of physical noise media, as well as for his private edition noise projects. Joel also masters noise and has worked on releases from Moth Dracula, Ex-Jesus, Cost, and more. Joel has just released his first publicly available noise tape under the name Time Theft, which you can find at glorioustimesLabel.bandcamp.com. You can reach out to him about mastering, trading, or anything else at signaldreams@gmail.com. This version is part 1 of the interview with Joel. To access the full episode, go to patreon.com/whitecentipedeNoise. WCN Studios, a brick-and-mortar noise record store and podcast studio in Potsdam, Germany, is having its grand opening on Saturday, February 22nd. If you're in the Berlin area around this time, I'd love to see you there. This episode of White Centipede Noise Podcast is sponsored by Rural Isolation Project. I also want to thank Joshua Peer, Jordan Reyes, Shane Taylor, Christos, Martin Wilford, Nikolai Vargas, Richie Culver, Mike Tupfer, and everyone else who has generously contributed to the opening of WCN Studios. If you'd like to help us get across the finish line opening the store, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter or making a donation today. Hello, Joel, and welcome to White Centipede Noise Podcast.
Hello, Oscar. Wonderful to see you. Look at that handsome beast over there.
Look at that handsome beast down there in the dungeon.
Okay, all right, come on.
We have spoken for some of the people out there listening and watching on an episode of Unsound Heads before.
Yeah.
And that may become a regular thing because I think you and I have a lot to talk about when it comes to noise nerdiness. And you're like I think of you as kind of like the ultimate guest / listener of what I want to do here with White Centipede Noise. So, but I thought before we do another episode of Unsound Heads where we just kind of shoot the shit, I would like to do a proper podcast episode with you and kind of interview you more as an artist rather than just talking about whatever. The first episode was good. I mean, it was a hit and it caused some controversy and everything like that. It was a
little bit of controversy. I don't think it was
top,
It was a good episode though. I did
edgy podcast episode.
Oh yeah. Hard.
So, but yeah, so you're Joel Shanahan, and before I introduce you for what I think you do, just give a brief introduction to who you are and what you do.
So my name's Joel Shanahan. I have been a gigging musician in some capacity for 25 years. When I make, I don't know, like some people would say I make like kind of techno inspired, electro inspired, house inspired music that's kind of sometimes tethered to like experimental music also, and doing stuff, and there's like there's shards of noise, there's shards of like mind jamming noise that show up in the dance music, even though that's a totally different kind of practice. So I do that stuff as Golden Donna and AUSCULTATION. Golden Donna, like the parameters are a bit wider. Like I hope I have some kind of voice, that translates across the different tracks, but it's a little bit more spread out. And then AUSCULTATION is more, I feel like that has a bit more of a razor focus to it, where it's like I know what it is in my mind and what kind of sounds and what kind of chord progressions and that, and I think it's like a good practice to at least have one thing that's like that, where it's when you're focused and channeling something very specific into it, certain feelings and, you know, sounds. And I mean, it does suck when a lot of it relies on like the feelings because, there will be long stretches of time when you're not in the right headspace to work on it. And then the guy that wants to put all the record was that, they need 5 years for you to turn in 2 masters. But slowly but surely, that's what I've been working on the most is in auscultation.
Is auscultation more personal and serious, and Golden Dawn is more fun?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say. I think it's like Golden Donna. I think it's a different, emotional spectrum maybe that it covers. It's dance music, but it's like it really runs the gamut in a lot of different kinds of influences. Trickle in, I think auscultation is a little bit more rigid, and I think there's like a spectrum of emotion in that music too, but it's a little more rigid and like, I'm not trying to do like like there's Golden Donna tracks that are like amelodic and just still, nasty and noisy, and then there's Golden Donna tracks that are like fogey house kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
and then but like with auscultation, it's it's a bit more contemplative and I guess is it okay to call your own work contemplative? I think that's
No, that's, you can go a lot further than that, I think, before getting tacky.
it's contemplative. I think there's like sometimes like there's a shadowiness to it. There's sometimes I don't know, I like making chord progressions in that topic, especially then. It's like where sometimes like the mood or perceivable feeling in the track can change within a single chord progression. It's like, oh, you bring it up, you do this chord, and then it comes down with this other chord, and it's like, oh, Lord. And you can kind of create these like twisting, winding chord changes. We're not necessarily sure how to feel. You're feeling something. Maybe you're feeling confused or
Yeah.
sad or whatever. But like yeah, there's a certain shadowiness and a certain kind of there's maybe a little there's an optimism, but then there's a dark. I don't know. It's just it deals with yeah, it deals with all kinds of stuff. For me, in the practice of making it deals with grief and rumination and and intrusive thought and compulsion, which is just things that I'm struggling with and uh, trying to soothe while working on rock music. I hope that made sense.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Of course it does. So before anyone watching or listening is like, what's going on here? Why is White Centipede Noise having like a electronic dance music artist on? I thought this was like techno is not sound art, kind of vibe. You are in fact like a huge noise fanatic, and you make noise. You are a noise artist as well in your own right. But you are probably known to a lot of people watching as a hardcore collector and head. They might know you from the Discord or from personal transactions or just kind of but you're very, very active in the noise world, and you're like a real like top level fan.
Yeah. Collectors, like, I don't know, like I do a lot of like trading and stuff with people. I mean, like, I do I do pick up some stuff, of course, but like collector is just one of those things where it's like something that feels icky
Yeah.
all the, and also it's just like, I don't know, but I'm a listener, you know,
Yeah.
and I get rid of stuff and try to find, I try to like, I have a lot of buddies that I trade with and stuff. If I have something and it just doesn't do it for me, or it's not something I think I'll listen to again, it's like there's always going to be maybe almost always someone that is one that and you can figure something out with them or whatever. We saw us, and said, well, if I don't listen to it, I'll just sell it.
Yeah, I mean that is one thing that I'm always amazed by is, well, okay, I call you collector because you have an insane collection of physical items, and you're like frequently, whether it be in the Discord or on other like social media places, like posting things you listen to or whatever, and you have like holy grail items, but not just the kind of known or standard kind of, I don't know, clout chasey collecting stuff like the '90s stuff that everyone wants to have, and it's kind of like a trophy to
No,
put it up. You have like a deep collection or a deep you have items that are like very obscure 2000 stuff that's really really good and sought after, but like not of that same ilk, but really rare stuff that you come through. But you always seem to be like, yeah, like you said, trading it, and it seems to flow in and flow out. Like you don't feel it doesn't feel like you're attached to it, you know. But
yeah,
you do have crazy stuff. I mean, you are a collector in that sense. Like you're not a keeper, you're not a hoarder, but you're definitely a conduit. A lot of amazing and rare physical media, noise media passes through you,
yeah.
and you trade
Well,
it and you let it go and you keep it going and you listen to it and you make a lot of like thoughtful comments on it, which is always, I that's what I'm saying is I really respect and appreciate your passion and like focus and love for this stuff.
I mean, the thing to keep in mind too is that rare does not translate to like money with a lot of that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
like the '90s stuff, well, sure. I mean that, but it's like that, like I don't have money. Like I am like what I mean. Like I don't. I work at like a grocery store. Like, I don't buy a lot of that kind of stuff really at all. Um, I, at a time when I had like a better job, I had like a pretty decent job for a while. I was like hunting stuff down a lot more, but it's like I got laid off in that job that a couple of years ago. And it's like, now I have a grocery store, and I moved differently. I skate. I don't really, yeah, I've really like gotten a lot more controlled about it and just kind of focus on more trading or like new stuff and seeing what friends are up to. And if I do find something like in the wild or whatever, that it's a great. Or if I find something that someone else wants and I can trade that to them,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, some people have really good jobs and they can just like buy everything and keep everything and just be like, which is my hard time. But
You always
like,
notice when when you know if someone's got a raise or someone just got a new job, because they'll like certain
yeah,
friends have been like, yep, that new job kicked in, because they are now posting like crazy '80s industrial tapes online like every other day, and so they've got it.
like I got to the end of this year and I was like thinking about my favorite releases of the year or whatever. And like there's so many things that came out this year that I just like didn't get a chance to check. And thankfully, it's like I've been in communication, like writing back and forth with a lot of noise artists that I really like and admire. And then, people who are active and, it's just like I can just hit up, you know, Eastman or something and be like, hey, I missed a bunch of stuff that you did this year, releases that you did. And, I've got these few things I think you'd be interested in from that collection. He was like,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, I forget. He just, sent me a big box of Max, and related on the.
Yeah.
I realized that I hadn't heard any of the Dead Door Unit stuff that came out this year, so I'll tell him. Because I've heard one, like, I got this thing from the Nightwell stuff. I trade to you for, I trade to you for Dead Door Unit thing. For yeah, sure. So it's like, I love the '90s stuff, but it's like, thankfully, it's like there's all kinds of reissues coming out, and it's like, I know it's out soon, but it's like, I don't know, like, I just kind of hit a threshold where I was like, I need to be this guy and for towards this stuff, and and I think there is like sometimes I just think, well, there is like an element of disease to that kind of collecting where it's, you know, we're topical for something and you're trying to like really, really hard to like dissociate from whatever your personal haul is, and this is the thing that feels good. This is the thing that gives you the thing, and other things don't feel good, and and so it's like,
Better than some things. It's better than, the obvious would be better than like shooting dope or something like that.
oh, absolutely,
You know?
100%. But it's like, I think I think the trap with noise stuff, and I'm not pretending. It's like, yeah, I love noise, and I'm not going to throw it. I get it. But the thing with noise is it's like the thing that makes it so fucked up. Like if you're corrupting it, is it's like so much of that stuff. It's like, oh, there's 20 copies. Oh, there's 5 copies. Or there's 500 copies, but it's a nerd ball thing, and it's like, and it's from the 90s and it doesn't exist unless And it's like every time one of these stupid things pops up, we're like, oh man, this is my last chance. I gotta get it. I gotta get it. And then you're like, oh yeah, what did that do? Whatever, like, and that's like a slippery slide.
Yeah.
But yeah, I spent a lot of time listening to noise. I rip everything I have. Say like I have it in my I have a Dropbox for roots.
See, that's cool.
Tons of personal rips. For whatever reason, I like the stupid ritual. It's just of ripping my months and stuff.
So like on the first listen, you rip it usually.
Yeah, it depends. It's like I have things. Like I have a. Well, I hope I'm not blowing up his spot, but I did a tape with Dan from Sewer. Like I did a trade with him once, where I had something that he really wanted, and he like loaded me up with cool sewer election and related stuff. And one of the things he sent me was edition of one sewer election tour. And that's something that I have not been able to bring myself to rip yet. I'm like,
wow. I respect that.
This should this should just exist like this, or like I have a thing that Laura sent me that's that like doesn't otherwise exist really.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I haven't brought myself to rip that. Yeah, they're like things are like one-off things that like people like Derek is giving me. I feel like that stuff. It's like it exists like this, but maybe someday, share it with someone or make a group and share it with someone or whatever. But for now, it's like that's the kind of stuff I'm like, this would be like a physical listening experience at all times.
Yeah. Scream and Writhe presents a series of off-season Initial Shock shows in Montreal. March 1st at Maison, Bloomer, Taskmaster, Primitive Isolation Tactics, Generic Fatigue. March 28th at Casa del Popolo, Green Tea, Jute, High Grove, Ingress, Miox. April 25th at Petite Hours, Nyan, Shadow Pattern, Zach Rodin, Skin, Foul. Keep an eye out for another Initial Shock presentation at the Suoni per il Popolo Fest in June, followed by the 3rd edition of the Initial Shock Noise Fest, the weekend of July 5th and 6th. Full fest details to be announced in the spring. Sign up for the mailing list at screamandwrithe.com or follow at screamandwrithe or at Initial Shock MTL on Instagram to stay in the loop. Okay, so I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole of noise until we've talked more about your work, because that's the focus here. We have plenty of time to talk about all that other stuff. You mentioned in the beginning that your attraction to chord progressions, and that's something like very, very notable about auscultation, things like that, is those chord progressions that are evocative, but the kind of confusing or ambiguous. And what's your feeling on like chord progressions in pure noise music? Is there room for it? Do you like it as a listener? Because I've often kind of commented on this, that I often have a problem with it, but not for the reason that I think music doesn't belong in noise necessarily, that they can't be mixed, but I feel like oftentimes when a noise musician or noise artist wants to add some chord progressions to their noise, they don't really oftentimes have a good like musical understanding or musical idea, so they kind of just put something kind of saccharine or generic in there. Whereas I think like I would like to hear maybe some auscultation chord progressions or melodies in some more pure harsh noise work. I think I could, get interested in that, or like for example, like the newest like the newer Green Tea material, like the newest Green Tea album
Really good stuff.
has a lot of really luscious chord progressions, but they aren't that kind of, they aren't just some kind of major minor, um, you know, you know what I mean?
Here's
Do you have opinion on that? Does that blend for you? Can that blend for you? Do you like that or not?
here's how I feel about them. First off, if there's music, if there's chords, it is no longer your harsh noise. But I'm not opposed to the fusion of music in music, of course. Man. But the problem is, I think there are people like they don't fuse properly sometimes. Like there's people that like either undercook one element or the other. And so like and it's like everything, in my opinion, if you're going to fuse those styles, everything needs to have some kind of singularity sound. It needs to have like your fucking elbow grease. Like you need to fuck it up. You need to degrade it. You need to like process it or do whatever. Like it shouldn't just be like a synth patch through reverb and then this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it can be like I'm not trying to like shit on anybody's vibe or whatever, but it's like I don't know, like it's very like primitive and it's not like, it's not like just like, oh, this is absolute work of genius. But I feel like Secret Abuse did a good job of fusing those ideas and like the later impregnable stuff. But even then, eh, there are like palette clashes that like don't age so well for me. Actually, I think a way better example would be Gordon Ashford. Gordon Ashworth puts the work in to get the what's the word, to get the he gets the grease compatibility with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like something like Concern. Like listen to fucking Concern. Listen to Concern, Force Bloom, and just like the it's just so beautiful, but then it's just like degrading and like
Mm-hmm.
unraveling itself sonically and like it's truly amazing stuff and that to me is like somebody who like can fuse the ideas in beautifully well. Um, I really this is something that I thought a lot about. I should not to make this about me, but I should send you the Cosmic Surveillance album I built for Regional Attraction because there's a lot of there's definitely like it's not harsh. It's not a harsh noise album, but it is like it's dirty. It's got dirt to it. So it's got like food. It's got like a combination of recording styles and food sounds and like prison sounds and but it's like it's not like oh this element here has like everything has tape hiss like there's some kind of uniformity to it but but there's grease on everything.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just it's not just like one of the elements is just totally clean and then the rest of it is grease or like one thing is greasy and the rest of it's totally clean. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's some kind of like there's an effort made to like have it congeal in a certain way
Mm-hmm.
that's that I was looking for because I think this similarly to you where it's like sometimes the potential is lost because people are willing to put in a ton of work into like one aspect of it and then kind of just like skirt by with the other aspect. It's like people who it's like people who maybe like go to the gym and like just lift around.
Yeah.
So they have like one like weird dangling swami line and then run super jack.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I agree with you. I think that is the key with Auscultation and with and Golden Donna too. You've been on a lot of like really quite big labels for this type of music and gotten a lot of like praise and critical recognition for your releases.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of the noise, when we talked, I know you through noise, which is like there's zero. We're in this weird little underground thing, but that when I looked up your projects and we talked, you shared what you did outside of this little world, I realized, oh, this is like really, really well received and like popular dance music in this world. Like, how are you? What's your relation to that world these days? I mean, you mentioned taking some time to release some things, but are you still like going forward in that direction?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Last year was like a real light room. Like I played 2 shows, Broken Fork and Nuts. And um, my relationship, I feel a little disconnected. I still have my friends in the dance world. My friend, certain DJ friends and producer friends that I keep up with, and I try to keep up with as many people as I can. But it's just like as you get older, it's just that, and you're like, oh no, this kind of falling apart, and you need to like take care of yourself and get your shit together. It's harder and harder to like keep in touch with everyone and spread yourself than you used to. And you know, I did like a 2-month tour in 2023,
Yeah.
but like, I was lucky that so that I was asked. The thing about dance music is that it's very, very fickle.
Yeah.
And there are lots and lots of subgenre trends and like styles that get very popular and artists that get popular. And like, I think like the contingent, like I feel like I crossed over to like some different circles of dance music, just like older heads and then like younger kind of hipster kids or whatever, but like different worlds.
Yeah.
But it's like the younger people, the more hip, like the hip, like art school hip, those kids, like I feel like there's a fixation on units.
There must be a really short attention span, right? I mean,
Yeah. And I
that's
don't
just
think them, and it's not all of them. It's just like it is a thing where it's like we want the new shit. We
yeah,
want the
yeah,
new
yeah.
shit. And I think styles, they like people gravitate toward them and then they fade away and then like another wave comes and it's like there's like a synchronism to it where it's you know, and for me, like when that last Auscultation album came out, like it was 2 months in the lockdown. And I think it was the kind of thing that was like maybe right for people who were all, and the guy I don't want to talk about stupid COVID shit. And that album is not COVID art, okay? It is not COVID art. I promise you,
Not your
not
lockdown.
fucking COVID art.
Okay.
But um the thing about that album is like, by that point I had been like a gigging musician for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And it got got an 8.0 pitch for it.
Right. I know. That's a big
Which
deal.
is like it was like, and it's like I was honored with that, like, because like the writer in particular was one that I actually really respect. It's this guy Philip Sheridan, who's been writing for ages. He was so incredible, like very articulate. Like I could really like when he wrote about my album, I was like, wow, like this guy like really listened to this album and like, it's like there's a couple things where I'm like, oh, I could see it, but then there's a couple things where like he's exactly right. That was exactly, I was
Yeah,
really
yeah.
on the road. But it was also like, fuck, now, like, there's no way to leverage this into like a tour, going to Europe or doing any shit. And it's
Mm.
like, by the time things opened up, it was just like, people were over it. People had moved on. But like at the time, it was like there was all this like momentum that couldn't go anywhere. It seemed because the album sold out in like 2 days, you know. And then like I got like profiled by Sheridan and the brand came up and it was just like he did this crazy interview and like it was really surreal. But it was just like there's something that was like selfishly very frustrating just to be like it's like, because I'm a fucking broke ass dude, like I'm a schlub. I can't afford to like take myself to Europe for a
Yeah.
trip or like I can barely afford to like visit my mom right now.
Yeah.
and whatever. Like, I don't know, he's scrub ass bitch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like people like one of the ways that I would get to like see people and travel and move around is to like get show opportunities and stuff. And it's like, you know, and that stuff comes in lurks. It's a feast or famine, and then there's dance music is a pretty crowded area. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of DJs. I think a lot of promoters prefer booking DJs because it's just reasonable. Takes up less space.
Mm.
You show up with records or a thumb drive and like just hop on after the next person. Like you don't have to have fucking 6 tables set up separately
Right.
with that program
Yeah,
at
I
the same.
suppose touring as a actual performing electronic music artist like you do it, you bring you're like a noise artist, like you bring tables full of gear, right? And you're
Yeah.
playing stuff live like hardware.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, but that seems probably also not rare, but like, you know what I mean?
It's there's 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 less live artists than there are DJs.
Yeah. That's
But
the
there
impression
are
I
a
get.
lot of people playing vibe. And I think like obviously like with the I don't know, the advent of and with the influx of technology or and like people starting like craft modular synth companies and and people like Yamaha, like Roland or whatever, Behringer releasing like, smaller versions of like salsa duo
Yeah.
on and like old drum and like new versions of old drum machines and whatever. Like there's an access there that maybe wasn't there before, which is really cool. I think it's cool. I think people should have access.
Mm.
I think sometimes people go too hard on gear and
Are you
place
big?
too
Are you
much
big
out.
gear? Are you doing most of your stuff with hardware? Because I had a talk with Sam Torres, an Afterblast that's going to come out in a couple days. Well, it'll be out by now, and we were talking about kind of the approach. You kind of have I kind of have the impression that like people who make like good dance music use a lot of hardware, but then there's also like cases that you find out someone who just made like an amazing album on like like an old laptop or something like that, and like didn't use any just use all soft synths and whatever. I mean, do you have a opinion about that split?
Well, I prefer using gear because I, I for the first couple of years I was doing for the first couple of years like once I incorporated rhythms into what I was doing, um, instead of just having 2 synthesizers and a lead synth pedals and a lead pedal or whatever. Once I started incorporating rhythms, I was like, well, I want drum machines and shit. So I was like, I had like cobbled together a way to like play the synths live over backing tracks or whatever. It was kind of horrible.
Mm.
Like it would work. It would work sometimes, or people would get into it. And there was enough physicality of what I was doing that like I think it could be entertaining to people. But there was no it was set up in such a way that like I couldn't improvise, I couldn't change gears, I couldn't like it was just like this is the set every night. And it's like if you're on like a 2-month tour or something, or you're on a tour for a month and you road
Yeah.
dog, you've got to play the same goddamn set every note. And it's like you're 3 weeks in and we're playing a show and there's 2 people there and they're not paying any attention to what we're doing. And you just have to like play through this fucking set that you played 9,000 times.
Yeah.
It's just like, ugh, you know. And with the gear, like I can kind of lose myself in it. I can make decisions. I can alter things. I can change directions if I want to. I can kind of read what's happening, and that's a lot more fun and engaging for me. Even if there's only one person there, whatever, God forbid. But if there is, and there could be, I can still enjoy myself and like engage with what I'm doing. Like my setup for playing live right now is just it's a 2 monosynths, 2 samplers. One's like an MPC, and I do all the a lot of the good stuff on there. I mean, I'll have another sampler that I'll run some breaks off if I need to, or I can do the sync loops, so chords and stuff. I'll dump chords in now,
Hmm. Hmm.
so I don't have to bring like a palisade with me.
Yeah.
I'll like put my chord progressions in there, and I'll dump other things in there too, other details and weird noises and things that I've got moved. And And then I have like a Sherman filter drink and a couple of pedals, and it used to be more shit. And I don't know how I feel about bringing less shit. I'm pretty sure I'm into it, but I do sometimes miss having powers and the potential to improvise with it.
To just like go all out. As much as I kind of like want to separate sometimes, like dance music is not noise music, or they don't have anything like inherently in common. But I sometimes, when I actually break it down and think about the percussive nature of it, I think there really might be. Do you see like an inherent similarity between what we love about noise, harsh noise, not just the fucked up side of it, but like that kind of, I don't want to say just the crunch, but the texture, the richness, the power of the sound. Do you see an inherent or any sort of like link between that and what gets people going crazy about dance music?
Key difference for dance music is that it, there's a groove. It requires a rhythm. It requires a groove, and it's usually like a hypnotic sort of rhythmic loop of something, right? And I've heard you talk about this with somebody else, but you were talking about, I think you were talking about like the Rita or something, and about how like if you really like kind of like look up the freckles on the granular level or whatever, it is like drum hits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like those aren't playing in like a groove
Yeah.
or a loop. Like it's almost more like jazz, maybe. And it's not predictable. And it's not that's unless you like running the source you're running is like a loop or whatever, but then if it's noise music. But I I think they're very different. But I think like, I'm trying to think of a good example of people who do interesting rhythmic stuff within the noise. Like, I guess TEF would be a good example. Like, sometimes he has some root. Like, sometimes I hear those kinds of I hear like stuttering or like a root in a harsh noise, and it takes me out of it, and I'm like, well, I don't know if I like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
then, but then it's like, like someone like Kevin was like a gourmet,
Yeah.
like, and I think he has like really good taste, and it's like if he does hit a section where like the loop doesn't sound good or whatever, or he's not going to fucking release it. He takes his time. He's got taste. You know, but again, it's like I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I really honestly like think about them as complete opposites. Sort of. Like the only thing
This is
that
the
I
end of part 1 with Joel Shanahan. If you'd like to watch or listen to the full version, go to patreon.com/White Centipede Noise. We go on to discuss influential friends and artists in the DIY scene, the Beatles, Liars, and House of Rafna, broadcasting live audio experiments on the radio as a child, the goals of noise versus dance music in a live setting, being humbled when playing live, acoustic studio noise techniques, his debut Golden Donna LP on Not Not Fun, top 5 Richard Ramirez related releases, noise as a form of self-medication, and much more.